Tonight is the night for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Just 2 weeks after Vice President Kamala Harris chose him as her running mate, he will headline Night 3 of the Democratic National Convention. This will easily be the biggest speech of Walz's political career. When he joined Vice President Harris, national polls indicated 70% of registered voters had either never heard of him or had no opinion of him. That has certainly shifted quickly in the last 2 weeks, but tonight will be his biggest opportunity by far to introduce himself to the entire country. Walz had a little help with that introduction last night as former President Barack Obama offered a pretty enthusiastic endorsement as only he can.
I love this guy. Tim is the kind of person who should be in politics. Born in a small town, served his country, taught kids, coached football, took care of his neighbors. He knows who he is, and he knows what's important. You can tell those flannel shirts he wears don't come from some political consultant. They come from his closet, and they have been through some stuff.
Well, that description of Governor Walz playing up his rural roots as a teacher, coach turned congressman who won in a Republican district has been a recurring theme already in a campaign trying to win critical swing voters in swing states. It's a topic I discussed with political analyst Brian McClung a couple of weeks ago. And on the eve of this speech, I wanted to check back in with him. And so, Brian, thanks for joining us tonight. And what do you make of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, first of all, before tonight's speech?
Well, I think that, Governor Walz has brought a lot of excitement to the Democratic ticket. And what the Democrats have to decide, though, is which part of Governor Walz's record do they play up? Do they play up that Midwestern dad, the moderate who served in the National Guard and was a football coach? Or do they play up that progressive governor of the last 2 years who really helped Democrats in Minnesota accomplish a long checklist of liberal policy items? And that is one of the benefits of having Governor Walz on the ticket, is he can kind of appeal to both parts of the Democratic coalition. But ultimately, the campaign has to decide which part do we emphasize, which part adds more value as we look ahead to November.
It's kind of a strange thing for all us Minnesotans, right? Because many people across the state already have that opinion of Governor Walz, and yet the Democrats aren't the only ones trying to define him right now. What have you made of the Republican attempts to define him and whether or not that's stuck at this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Republicans really want to define Governor Walz as an extreme left liberal. And so they're really, trying to play up parts of his record that would point to that. I think, though, it's hard to make that stick in many ways, because those impressions that you get of the governor, of a guy who wears the buffalo plaid, who knows how to hunt and fish, who's been a football coach, lots of times in politics, that image and that perception is stronger than, a policy agenda or legislation.
What do the polls tell us, if anything? I know it's still a long way out, everything else, but we sometimes get a sense of shifts in campaigns. It seems like it's shifted a little bit here in the last couple of weeks. What are we seeing in terms of Walz's effect, if anything?
Well, it's hard to kind of unpack what is Tim Walz's effect and what is just the kind of continued momentum that Kamala Harris has had. Those 7 states that are going to decide the presidential election, those went from, Donald Trump leading in 6 out of 7 states to now, Kamala Harris leading probably in 5 or so of those 7 states. So it has been a dramatic shift in this past month. And now, of course, with the convention, you would expect some additional bump for the Democratic ticket, but we'll see how long that honeymoon lasts. I would suggest that about a month from now, mid to late September, I think the polls will have kind of settled out and we'll have a better sense really of what to expect in that final push.
All right, thanks. I know you'll be watching tonight. We will as well. Thank you, Brian.